Alright. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Isaiah Intelligent Psycho here. Yes, I finally get the chance to talk about what appears to be, of course, the final season of Power Book 5, Raising Kanan. Yes, we start in episode 1, where we get more of the introduction to Breeze, Snaps and Pop's younger nephew. And so him showing Kanan pretty much that they're taking over Southside Jamaica, Queens, because Raquel and Kanan was trying to cover up a whole story. So we picked up till the last episode of season 4, where we saw where Raquel and Kanan had a interaction, and pretty much a whole argument dispelled into a thing where Kanan was overtly about to admit about to be killing his own mother. But then, of course, her younger brother Lulu came in and stepped in, and her bodyguard, her partner Ruben, came in along with Lulu to step in the conversation to break it up. And so now we end up seeing the aftermath, where they had the funeral for Lulu, and then they end up running the spots and corners. Rock and Marvin pretty much are going to run their own corners now, because their Southside is no longer an option for them at this point, because of the aftermath of the end of Southside Jamaica, Queens, with her and Stefano not really there, not really on good terms at all. And so she's trying to come up with a game plan on where she wants to go. And that's the interesting part to me from episode 1, was the aftermath and the fallout from Lou's death, and then the fallout with Rock and Stefano. More so, her and Kanan pretty much are not close at all in any given capacity. Unique still trying to find money and get more roots with his corner boys, with him and his main troops. One was at the time was led by Akbar, and then what, of course, dispelled into a whole melee of madness, because Breeze, Kanan, and Snaps and Pops had a conversation with Stefano, but ended up leaving Unique out the deal in episode 2, where in that conversation, and also Taz was left out the conversation too, because Stefano wants a good part of running them corners. And then from Jukebox character in episode 1 and 2, she's still having the police running on her, telling her, still having Officer Joe Garcia still questioning her. And now she wants to try to find her own path, because her own path is not going so far. And so the thing is, it makes it more worthwhile, because now Jukebox thinking that she can cut corners with herself and on her own. And then what happened in season 4, the aftermath, with Kanan pulling the gat out on her, now she feels like she can just have control of her own. And now she feels like she's caught a body in the last season a few times. Now she's finna catch more bodies in this season, from what I'm hearing. And as well as her dealing with the cop, Garcia, trying to get her off of her tail. The question is for her, what she's gonna do in her own light and path. Then, of course, from episode 2, we saw a more so Marvin was going absolute ballistic. He was still trying to find Unique. He was still trying to find his brother's killer, but now he's gonna find more news about his brother's killing, which has everything to do with Kanan and Rock, because they were covering up everything. They didn't want to tell Marvin anything, the truth about what happened. Kanan didn't even know where Unique was. Marvin wanted to know every whereabouts of it. And then once he found out, and we'll get to episode 3 in a minute, but he'll find out more about Kanan and Breeze, and then he'll find more about, of course, Stefano not really F with them in the operation of their business. So they end up taking their business and at least 20 kilos of cocaine. They end up taking all of that over into Manhattan. So they end up meeting with Joe Pantoliano's character, Pino Benari. And so Pino Benari ends up talking with Rock. He basically was letting her know that, these different corners of what it's going to be about. It's going to be a different thing dealing with the Manhattan crew members, because the Italians love to go back and forth, he was telling her. And Rock said, "She ain't nobody gonna worry about my money. Ain't nobody gonna be worried about what's gonna happen. We're not going around Stefano. We're going right in his face." He basically was saying. So Peniel Benari was introducing Rock to another business venture and entrepreneur, of course, who deals with drug dealing, named Flossie Siegel. And I feel like that there's going to be more connection with Flossie Siegel and with Marvin, because she feels like she feels more attached, more so with Rock, but more so she likes the fact when she gets introduced to Marvin that Marvin pretty much is letting Rock run the operation like how she wants to do it, and then get in guards of protecting her at any and all given costs. So in episode 3, and then also before we get to there, we got, of course, Unique. Him and Akbar pretty much having a small conversation. He basically tells him it's not what you're running to, it's what you're running from. And that's the thing that really is interesting and very so captivating, because now you have so much going on with everybody, and he was telling Unique that Akbar was telling Unique you're running towards something. Shout out to Joey Badass. His character performance has always been one of my favorite characters in here. And he definitely, and it's so much that happened. And also in the beginning, you saw Unique and Pernissa having a conversation. You know, you can be whoever you want, she was telling them. You can do whatever you want to do. You can go places. You can even be what you want. Unique was telling her, this is the game. This is Southside. This is all I know. And pretty much, and Pernissa was like, this is not what you just know. Which is no love. Like you pretty much more. You good at what you want to be. Like, you can make however you want to feel like. It's up to you. It's up to your choices. Your choices and your actions can lead to a lot of your consequences. She reminds him of that, and so we end up getting to Unique having a last hug from Jerome, an interaction from Jerome, his only son, one and only son, and it ends up making him his whole world of reality turn a twist and turn a full coat. And then of course we saw that Unique's peoples end up going down. He saw his crew members and Akbar's crew going down, and so now he has no choice but to let things go. With Southside, because he doesn't have nobody to really look towards, and with a lead, and you're supposed to be as the leader, but with actually no money in bundle with, encompass with, and also no plug, and actually no connect, really. And then of course you're getting cut out of the deal from Breeze and Snaps and Pops. He really feels like that he's pretty much all alone to himself. So we'll get to the last part, and he has that last conversation with Pernissa, because Marvin was looking for him, and Kanan and Breeze wanted to kill him. Like, that's the end all be all, and they pretty much left Southside, left New York, left all of Southside, Jamaica, Queens, and they never returned. In episode 3, we end up getting a conversation with Rock and Marvin and Flossie, with pretty much a lot of the girls that are working outside of Lou's club. And so they reminded him of what you in it for, moving weight, moving dope, but end up doing this for jobs, assignments. And so one of the assignments that Flossie ends up having to hire, basically, she wants her to Tiana, and that actually is Jarita, Sean's mother. If you don't know Jarita, Sean's mother from the original Power. That's actually her, and I didn't even notice it was actually her in the beginning. But when I heard and saw that, I was like, yo, this is absolutely sick. This is crazy. What a absolute turn and chain link of events. And it makes you wonder about things that's going on. Like I said, Marvin has a conversation with Flossie. She invites him to his home for dinner. And he notices a lot of pictures of a bar mitzvah. And it's gonna be really much so reminding of the fact that she mentions Shara, which mainly, it might be a connection with Marvin and Tony, and it might be a connection with Flossie Siegel and Tony Deep. Like, it might be a connection with that. Correct me if I'm wrong. It may be a connection. Who knows? But I can feel it. And then also Tiana is doing one of these jobs, and she pretty much goes to one of these main big apartment complex units. It deals with a small ounce of coke, and so she pretty much is moving weight in there, you know, for one of them dudes for money. But Jukebox pretty much, like I said, she has Garcia on her back. She visits Garcia, and unexpectedly, she still wants to be by Marvin's side. So her and Marvin pretty much had it out, and pretty much she wants to be right by his side wherever he goes. He has a job for her, pretty much watching the club, watch anybody who comes in, serving them drinks, whatever, and then moving. And then the girls, like I said, there's gonna be bouncers, the girls in here moving weight. You gotta just watch what you're doing. And so she pretty much does that. And we saw the connect that the person that Tiana ends up meeting towards the end of the episode, which was Kanan. And so of course Kanan is the main person that she wants to see in order for this job. And so, but Kanan knows that not only Rock set him up to get warned and arrested by the police. Flossie has a thing where she wanted Tiana to meet with one of the new guys, and of course, like I said, Kanan was one of the people. And so Kanan is trying to mess and destroy with Rock's business in episode 4, while Rock and Marvin planning to put a hit out on Stefano. The last conversation that she had earlier on with Pino Benari, Pino wants Rock to have a conversation with Stefano because things could get messy on the south side. Things could get messy with the Sicilian peoples and the Italians. So he wants her to have a conversation with him. And so when she finally has a sit down and it doesn't work out how they want to, and Stefano makes threats to Rock, it doesn't go how it's the plan. It is a crazy moment, crazy interaction. Marvin pretty much is still trying to find Lou's killer. And the last couple episodes, he ends up turning to the pastor. And when he turns to the pastor, he ends up having a moment of reflection. And when he has that moment of reflection, telling him you gotta find God and you gotta find your own path, you find your own self, Marvin starts to believe it. Marvin starts to really feel that weight on his shoulders, and wants to be lifted. And then of course he still wants to trying to find his brother's killer, and he finds answers to the thing that he doesn't want to be found. And it's a wild moment. It's a wild moment, and I definitely recommend everybody to really sit down and check this one out, because this episode really gets down to it. Also, Kanan, like I said, trying to destroy Rock's business. He ends up having a conversation with one of the girls that is working up under her and Flossie, and she ends up putting something in the powder that ends up being one of the federal judges, that ends up killing one of the federal judges, and basically says, "You tell him Kanan did this." Tells one of the girls, and then the girl warns Rock. And then that's pretty much a part of the episode that has a thing where the business between them and Flossie ends up getting fishy and shaky. Of course, Taz is jealous of Kanan. Taz is being passed over, and him and Kanan had one last moment, and pretty much Kanan whoops him and ends up murking him, ends up killing him. And that was because of a test. And if you saw in the beginning, and also in the earlier part of episode 4, that Breeze is playing chess, while the rest of everybody else is playing checkers. And so that was pretty much a test, a warning to see if Kanan was vile and vigilant enough to do what he did to Taz, and he was. But yeah, and that's pretty much the wrapping up the episode. The Memphis hitters that Marvin had ended up finding. The rest of the one of the main hitters end up taking it to the back of the club, and pretty much ends up being done for it. And yeah, that's pretty. And then they end up sending a message saying that one of the main Memphis hitters that Marvin hired with the hat, and that message was pretty much loud and clear that Stefano and the rest of the crew was warned. But yeah, what an episode, man! What an episode 4, and a really good part of all of these episodes in Raising Kanan. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in 5. So yeah, be on the lookout for another reaction to this. And yeah, and I will probably do a recap and do a ranking of all the Power shows. So yeah, all right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.